Well, yeah, of course, Iran is a distraction. Do you think they want us talking about the really important issues right now? Like, for example, it turns out I am the real Jim Carrey. I mean, who could have possibly seen that coming? But in all seriousness, I want to talk a little bit about this whole Iran situation and the way that the news is being propagated, especially by other content creators like myself. So here's what it would actually take to have a fully informed opinion on Iran right now. You'd have to understand the Straits of Hormuz, not just where they are, but why blue water naval doctrine makes it one of the most consequential 21 miles of water on the planet. You have to understand Oracle's infrastructure contracts and what American technology companies are doing embedded in Gulf state systems and the current contracts that are upcoming right now, like within the next 30 days. You'd have to understand OPEC fracture and their fracture lines and what Iran's relationship with China actually means for global shipping. You'd have to understand the Horn of Africa, the Houthi interdiction strategy. You have to understand how that connects to Pacific naval posturing, not just for us, but for all countries involved. You'd have to know about history, like in 1953 when Mossadegh and the CIA and the Shah, and they caused the scenario that allowed for the Islamic Revolution of the late 70s. Then you'd have to understand the next 47 years of an autonomous theocratic state making its own decisions for better or for worse, and for worse, I should say. You would have to understand the Gulf Cooperation Council and why Qatar and Saudi Arabia are not the same conversation, right? You'd have to understand Iranian internal politics, and not just the regime as like a monolith, but the factional warfare going on underneath all of that. You would have to understand sanctions architecture, collapsing of currencies, what that means, what the green movement was for Iran, and what it was not. And I can keep going. Nobody knows all of that stuff. Not the generals who are dropping the bombs on either side. There's a concept from Carl Jung. Everyone knows I love talking about Jungian psychology. Psychic inflation. I'm seeing it a lot right now. It's what happens when your ego identifies with something much larger than itself and mistakes that identification for understanding. You read some books, you doom scroll for 7 hours, you watch a 10-minute long video on YouTube, right? You watch a compilation of whatever. You absorb enough of the vocabulary and suddenly you feel like you can see something here. You think it's truth. What you're actually feeling usually is that you've put on a costume. The ego has expanded to fill a space that it hasn't actually earned. You don't actually have a solid grasp on most of these things. You think that you do. And I'm not excluding myself from any of that. I went to Iraq without the full picture. Nobody gets the full picture when you go do something like this. You work with what you've got. You make your peace with the uncertainty and you just move. You just get in motion. That is what humans do. I'm not justifying anything, obviously. I'm saying that's how people operate, whether you're going to war or whether you're criticizing a war. But here's an important question I want everyone to ask themselves. Can you articulate the strongest possible version of the position that you oppose right now, especially about Iran? Not a straw man. I mean like the actual best faith, steel-manned version in enough detail that someone who holds that position recognizes themselves in your description. Now, if you can't do that, and most people can't, including me, especially on bad days, then what you have aren't really opinions. You have preferences, and you've learned to speak in the language of analysis. My caution for everyone is to be aware that some of the people who seem like they're the most informed on this app and other places around the internet, some of them are operating from that psychic inflation mode, where they don't actually have a really good synthesis. They have a good enough story that it convinces them and it convinces other people. And it drives engagement. Or it doesn't drive engagement. Like this video will probably get 10 likes. But if I came out and said some incredible, this is how it exactly is type of a post, it would get, 30,000 or something. So it's just the way the game is played. Psychic inflation is part and parcel of the way that we engage with media and the news via, social media these days. So I just want everyone to be aware of that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go star in Man in the Moon Part 2, in which I will play a zombie version of Andy Kaufman, who has to fight a zombie version of Jerry Lawler. Although I'm not sure if Mr. Lawler is dead yet. So we'll cross that bridge when we get into production.